So we've got 0 and negative exponents today. So first thing is, these are kind of weird rules that we're going to go over today. We're going to use the rule that we learn and then just use the other properties for like division and multiplication to figure out the rest of this. So the bottom line is you don't want a negative exponent in your answer whenever you're doing one of these problems. So the first thing we're going to talk about is any number to the 0 power equal to 1. So it's kind of like one of those weird things that happens with zeros. So if anything is to the 0, it's 1. Okay? Same thing as of this. If you have any variable to a 0, it's 1. So if you see either one of those things, it just equals 1 right away. So that's for a 0 exponent. A negative exponent, so like if you have 4 to the negative 2, that's the same as 1 over 4 to the second power. So it's kind of like this negative 2 means it's going to go down in the denominator of a fraction. The 2 will go down there. When you flip it down there, the negative kind of goes away and it becomes a positive. So instead of 4 to the negative 2, it's now a fraction 1 over 4 squared. The same is true the opposite way. If you have like 1 over 7 to the negative third, if you undo that, you flip it around, that would be like 7 to the third. Okay, if this is like trapped down here, 7 to the negative third, that means we're going to flip it up top and get rid of that negative sign. And then 7 to the third would be up in the numerator. So down here, simplify, use only positive exponents. Okay, so 3 to the negative fourth would be like 1 over 3 to the fourth. We'll keep it just like that using exponents. Over here, right? If we have the same bases being multiplied together, that's where we said we just add the exponents together, right? If you remember from earlier. So this would be like negative 8.5 to the negative 4 plus 4. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0, so that turns into this, negative 8.5 to the 0. Anything to anything to the 0, answer is 1. So this answer is just 1. Over here, this is where our quotient rule comes into play, right? 2 to the 6th divided by 2 to the 8th is the 2 to the 6 minus 8. 2 to the 6 minus 8 is 2 to the negative 2. So we'll kind of flow down like this. 2 to the negative 2 is 1 over 2 to the second. So we'll just keep it like that, right? That's really 1 over 4, but we'll just write it with our positive exponents. Okay, down here, a little more. This is 1 over 4 squared. The second one, we have negative 2 to the negative fifth. That's 1 over negative 2 to the positive fifth. And then number 6 here, if you have 6 to the negative 8th times 6 to the 8th, that's 6 to the negative 8 plus 8. That would be 6 to the 0. That would be 1, right? Because we get something to the 0. So we get down to there. Okay, down here. Last 3 problems here. So this x to the 0 becomes a 1. So it's like negative 5 times 1. That's just negative 5. So that'd be your answer right there. Over here, this piece right here, y to the negative third, means it's going to flip down here and become y to the third. So this would be like 9 over y to the fifth times y to the third. On the bottom down here, on the denominator, we'll say this is just 9 over y to the eighth. Okay. Last thing. Drop of water leaks from a faucet every second. How many liters of water will leak in 1 hour? 1 drop of water is a really tiny amount, 50 to the negative 2 liters. It's a really small amount. But if we're doing this for an hour, we could take 1 drop of water, that's 50 to the negative 2, times 60 seconds for a minute. Take those minutes times 60 for an hour, right? Now, if I reconvert this a little bit, 50 to the negative 2 is 1 over 50 squared times 60 times 60. You can, if it helps, you can think of these as like over 1, right? And then we know from before, you just multiply fractions straight across. So if I do that, on the top, if I just do 60 times 60, I get 3,600. On the bottom, 50 squared is 2,500. Now I'm trying to figure out how many liters, so I'm going to actually take this in my calculator. 3,600 divided by 2,500, I get 1.44 liters. So if you imagine like a 2-liter bottle of soda, right? It'd be like almost 3/4 of the way full, basically, of water. It kind of adds up, right? If you're thinking about it over an hour, like it dropping a drop every second. So, anyways, that's what it would be. All right, see you guys.